Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday night segment of The Outer Realm at our new time, 8 p.m. Eastern instead of 9. So that should be good for everybody that doesn't want to step really late. Works for me. Anyway, we are broadcasting live here on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, yes, who have been with us now for probably going on 7 years, I think. 2019, early 2020. So we're so very grateful for them. Thank you so much, Folgers. We appreciate you so much. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for the contribution of his time, his music, and his voice that you just heard for this intro, which is just amazing. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween, horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thanks to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind our logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Also specializes in the horror and Halloween genre, but does amazing commission pieces of any sort. So tonight, very excited about this because, it's one of my favorite topics, but we welcome back Jiulio Consiglio. And this time he's going to be talking about his book, Cosmic Contact. And what's great about this is that, we're going to share experiences and have a bit of a parlay about, what he's experienced, what I've experienced. But it's going to get into not just UFOs and ET, and we're going to talk about CE5s. We're going to talk about consciousness. We're going to talk about developing psychic abilities. There's so much involved. It's not just, hey, is that a UFO or, it's just a lot more involved. And I love that kind of conversation because there's a lot of resonating, and he lives really close too, which is just kind of even more fun because, you never know, might be able to do some note comparison in person, which would be a whole lot of fun. So thank you to everybody tuning in. I see some of the regulars are going to come straggling in a little bit later because we are a bit early. So in the meantime, hello, Patsy. Hi, Kira. How are you? Mish. Oh my God, you're here. You're here early as well. This has got to work out really well for you. So hi, thank you for joining us. And Heidi, I swear you live in your car, but I'm glad you're listening. So thank you and hello. So without further ado, my compadre for the evening, Jiulio. Hello.
How are you, Michelle? Thanks again for having me on. I love these conversations with you, so I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. This is going to be a lot of fun. I enjoyed the book.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Did. I enjoyed the book. It pretty much covers everything. And it's all things that you learn as you become an experiencer on different, different levels and such. So you and I have sort of crashed about this a little time. We've had a little bit of, comparisons and kind of like we're familiar with some of the same areas, which is also very interesting. But where I want to start with this is when I say humble beginnings, it's like, first recollection of experiences. Like, is this something that you went through as a child, or is this something that came to you in adulthood that you know of?
That's a great question. I've experienced the paranormal from a very young age, but the phenomena in particular, that all started October 2020, and it was baptism by fire. They did not waste any time with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. They didn't waste any time. Man, bam, that was it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was different for me because I was having experiences as a child, also paranormal experiences, because I do believe they go hand in hand as you learn, right? As you start, having these experiences, you realize how connected all of them are, right? And
There's a unifying factor that connects us, and it's universal consciousness. So,
mhm,
from one point of view, it's they are from almost parallel future versions of us that have remembered us and remembered who we are.
mhm, yes. So, what was your first experience?
Oh boy! So I got them both on camera. October 8th. I knew October 8th, 2020, I was wrapping up writing Open Your Third Eye, and I'm like, "I gotta go hang out with my neighbors. I've been buried in here editing." So 6:43 PM, I remember the time, it was dusk, I head out, and within minutes, a black hula hoop-shaped object about 10 times the size
Mm,
of a hula hoop, no form of propulsion, appeared out of the west, and
mm.
I let out an expletive. I said, "What the bleep is that?" And I recorded. My neighbors are, like, freaking out. We watched it cruise on by. My deep insight, regarding that is they used something very benign just to grab my attention to look up.
Mhm,
5 minutes later, 6:48, I'm facing the northern sky, and a tic tac shaped object comes across the northern sky very quick. I start recording and I go, "What is that?" And James, he lets
mhm.
out a couple of swear words and 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 so those were the two initial sightings.
Mm,
Fast forward, and we can get into that. Was my about a week or two later was my experience then, close encounter with the black triangle.
mhm. So, ah, it gets funky,
Mm,
when you start looking at certain locations, because there's a really big belief that, like for me, when everything shut down a few years ago,
mm.
all of a sudden, you're starting to notice more because there's just less,
'Cause you're
there's less,
forced to.
yeah, pretty much. But
Yeah.
there seemed to be a lot more in the skies, at
Mm.
least to what we were being aware of, because there were not as many flights, right? Being not too far from the Buffalo airport, not as many flights because there's not as many people who are supposed to be traveling. And I remember driving along the river, looking on the other side, because usually it's full of tourists, so you can never see across the river. And I'm looking across the river, I'm going, "Is that a freaking cave? That's a cave." Like, oh my God. And there were all kinds of entrances in. And I'm
Wow.
just like, yeah. And I started also noticing more and more. So do you feel, because like over those last several years, that things were amping up for you, or because you were just noticing it more, maybe because it just wasn't that much in the sky?
I feel, it was just sort of the next step even in my own personal evolution and the
Mm,
timing of it with, humanity awakening and awakening to the darkness of this world. And,
yeah.
when people were locked down, it
Mm,
forced us to you had the opportunity to go within even deeper,
mhm.
So, yeah, the timing, like the synchronicity and even the synchronicities I experience them with now, it's excruciating at times. It's so obvious. It's unbelievable, and
Mhm.
to say
Yes.
the least.
I'm a big believer in synchronicities. So when
Yeah.
you talked about synchronicities in the book, I'm like, "See, this guy gets it."
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I don't believe in coincidence.
No.
I don't. I do believe in synchronicities. I do
Yeah.
believe that, some things are maybe engineered, some things are
Mm,
real
no.
synchronicities. And I think we live in a world where maybe one overpowers the other a bit more. So we're so busy being pulled, like, "Oh, here, look at here. There's a squirrel." And you're like, that you miss the synchronicity. You miss the part that you're supposed to be in tune with.
Distractions, that's the big thing. So,
That's a big one.
what I find regarding synchronicities, the more you become aware of them, it's like any other, even spiritual faculty, the more apparent they become, and then you
Mm,
develop that discernment automatically and
mm.
organically because you're more aware and present. So, yeah.
That's I like that present.
Mm,
Present is a good one, because
yeah.
when I see something, once you see, like once you tune into synchronicities, you can never undo it.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And I call it the language of the universe.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you, Jiulio.
You're welcome. But that is
Yeah.
very deep. Yeah.
But it really is, because for those who aren't hearing, you just have to pay attention, and it's all there. I see it sometimes in names. The one I tend to use was going to visit my mom for the very last time before she passed. And there's this truck, and with my maiden name spelt correct, because it's got different variations. I'm kind of like, huh, all right. Right.
That's obvious to me. That's signs. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can't. You either people in general, you either accept something like that as a sign, or you know, it's just coincidence. But even the word coincidence means to coincide. So
yeah, exactly. So but it is very fascinating to me. Like once you see it, you can't unsee it, and then you come into what is like the knowing.
Yeah, it's beyond belief. Yeah.
Yeah, when you know, you can't unknow. Like you can't.
You can't, because it's a shift. So evolution is always like a step forward. You're always moving forward. To go back would just be to contract, and it's resistance. So once you've made that shift and you've stepped into more knowingness, it's just expansion now.
Yes. See,
definitely,
fully agree.
Yeah.
So, wait, I see numerous coincidences multiple times a day. You're missing the point about the synchronicity. Anyway, so as far as some of your experiences go, you make a reference to the dark night of the soul. I have to know what the dark night of the soul is.
So basically, it's the suffering that we take on that can either cause us to remain stuck, or can crack the shell of the ego and allow us to go beyond it, to transcend and cultivate things like, because as human beings, we're like conditioned to react, and we're conditioned to be reactive, and it doesn't come automatically. So it allows you to cultivate things like faith and trust. But the dark night of the soul, everyone experiences it. There's a purpose to it. And it's important to remember nothing's ever being done to us. It's being done for us.
Right.
Yeah. It's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, but hindsight's always 20/20, right?
Tomato. I mean,
so
I can look at that either
depends
way.
how you look at it. Yeah.
Exactly. So after going through this, and everything else is sort of okay, I can handle anything now.
Oh, yeah.
So the black triangle, obviously, is this the main sort of craft that you're seeing fairly regularly, or are you seeing other things as well, other anomalies while
the triangle is the main one. It's the one that appeared about 2 weeks later, Close Encounter. It's the main one that photobombs many of my encounters by powering up, and it's the main one that usually responds by powering up. There'll be often times, like in the winter, I'm looking out my kitchen window and it'll power up while I'm still inside. So they see through walls. That's through oneness. But absolutely incredible. There was an instant remembering taking place when I saw it, and our energies are so synced, like I don't even have to see it, and I know where it is in the sky, and I'll just point it out. Or if I talk about it, I'll trigger it to power up. Yeah.
Which is very cool.
Amazing.
So what is the difference? Because people will say, oh, triangles, TR3B, whereas, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between the two?
Oh, so anything, so the phenomena, this triangle, and all of them are so advanced, they've had to break up what they can do, their potential capabilities, in separate encounters, so I can have a very deep understanding. So when it first appeared 200 feet over the backyard, I was back there with my neighbors, and I got the vibrational hit, first of all, to move about 10 feet away from them. And then I was directed to look straight up, and coming over the townhouse, black, silent, 200 feet. I locked eyes on it, 4 gray pads, and I called the guys over. Matt goes, "Is that a flock of geese?" And I'm like, with my voice, "Focus, guys." And they woke up in about 0.2 seconds.
Right.
We watched it cruise for about 10 seconds. Now, I'm just going to briefly fast forward into May. Matt notices, we're all on our back porches. Matt notices lights dancing in a cloud. So I come down, James comes down, we lock eyes, we see it. 5 minutes go by. I'm facing the driveway. Triangle comes in, very holographic, 200 feet. And I go, guys, it's triangle. They turn around, we see it. And as it got over the neighbor's garage behind us, before our eyes, with all three of us, vanished. James is having a religious experience. I'm elated. A couple of minutes go by. We're in our respective positions again. Triangle comes in a second time, even more energetic or holographic. Now, if you picture a triangle, cut it top to bottom, 2 pieces. Now go across 4. It was coming together and moving apart, showing me I transform, and then vanished before our eyes again.
Wow.
The downloads were coming on like a hot knife through butter, because it can go from being lights dancing in a cloud to these orbs that I've recorded multiple times, 2, 5, 7, dozen, to a holographic looking object, to a very 3D craft. And I have even later on in December of that year had it come over, one light at the tip, very 3D looking. Matt saw it, James missed it.
Yeah. He's probably just like, oh, you know.
He was bummed, but what happened was about a few minutes later, James goes, what is that? And all of a sudden there were about 100 of these gray paddish like orbs in the sky, giant eraser shape, about 100 feet. I go, it's triangle. And he was like, you know, that's incredible. So these objects, yeah, they transform. So there's a big key difference. And not only that, there's the psychic connection. There's the interaction. I always say this, and I often post about it when I'm posting these videos. There's a lot more going on, guys, than just sightings. There's communication, instant knowing. It's exactly how I experience my intuition or my experience with the high self.
Yeah, see, I've heard that the ET triangles are considerably larger. My producer reminded me last night of a case. I think it might have been in Germany, and the thing sat out there. It was huge, and it just sat over the specific city in Germany for like days. And he's just like, yeah, they're massive, you know. So I was kind of like, jeepers, that's insane. Like to just be right out there. And here we are, you know.
You know, it's funny because it doesn't surprise me. They're one thing for sure, they're spontaneous by nature. So expect the unexpected.
Well, that's pretty unexpected, no doubt. Wayne says, and Kira is also saying, my question too. So if you're talking about it tonight and you're here on the show, can you feel it power up now?
That's a great question. How I should describe this is operating through universal consciousness or continuously through inner stillness. There's 100% connection. It's always there. If I get the hit, or for example, like two mornings ago, I wasn't really feeling going outside. I got the hit. We're here. So it's that inner knowing I have to head out. There are times when I still have a foot in the back door and they're powering up. I'm like, I'm coming. Calm down.
Let's go.
Relax.
Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. So that is interesting. And you were saying too, with the nicer weather, longer days, that their schedule is changing a little bit. It's interesting to me that they're so scheduled.
It's interesting. For example, in July, several encounters. You know, I'm out there 4:30 in the morning sometimes, because if I'm up late writing, I'm like, I need a break. I head outside and they begin appearing. So, you know, it's still dark, but they do appear dusk, and they do appear. It just gets harder to see because it's bright, and they appear often as these light sort of orb-like structures. But a couple of weeks ago, I was in the parking lot of a grocery store, and 2 objects powered up, and I just caught them as they were powering down. I pulled the camera up. People around me were sort of looking at me like, what are you doing? But they appeared, basically wherever I am, they usually appear. They've appeared at my sister's. They've appeared going, midnight, going to grab a burrito, and
Burrito?
triangle
Yeah.
appeared over the
Right.
plaza. I'm like, really? I got 24/7 here,
Wow.
protection. Yeah,
That's very
wild.
nice. So so I mean, I guess it's sort of a whole other meaning, like with the whole CE5 thing,
Yeah,
because when I decided I wanted contact as well, I didn't need to do a whole process for
yeah,
me. And there's the belief that it's because I was an experiencer, like I'm a generational experiencer.
yeah,
So it just goes back. So it's just a matter of you're already linked.
yeah.
And when I decided, at some point I was kind of like, not having it. And if it was happening, I really had no clue. But when I made the decision to say, okay, I'm okay to do it. And it was very, very quick when the experiences started, and they
Yeah.
were many different types. So the whole process of the CE5, did you at ever any point have to do that? Or did you just stumble onto this and this is what worked and now you're instantly connected? And
From what I just understand, it's my vibrational frequency. It's just who I
yeah.
am, and they come in. Human beings, we often tend to complicate things. It doesn't have to be complicated. Just like meditation, people look at meditation as very daunting. All
Mm-hmm.
it is focus wherever you are. If you're washing dishes, be
Hmm.
focused. That's a meditation. If you're at home reading a book, just be in the moment. That's meditation. Just be here now. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So you don't have to go through this whole process, because this is a really big thing now.
It is. What I should add, though, you want to approach it like with sort of like an openness and non-attachment. What that means is, if you're going to get reactive and start getting a person's going to start getting upset, why aren't they showing up and whatever, they don't respond to that because they're enlightened beings. They will just sit there and observe in a higher dimension, watching you react.
Like, what is
They
she
they won't
doing?
exactly
It's like,
like. So
yeah.
it's sort of like a
Yeah.
synchronization. So you
Yes.
want to be open-hearted, approach it without attachment if you can. That's practice, and I understand it is. And just be easy about it. One thing they've reminded me of, like I was always, I'm connected to my playfulness, but really it gets playful with the triangle. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So have you had any ET encounters, or they have all been UFO?
Ooh. There's a couple I can share.
Sure. All
um,
right.
a couple of summers ago, it's June bugs that light up at night, or fireflies, right? Fireflies, sorry. So I was back there, and you remember the movie Predator? How when they go invisible, they sort of appear like water moving. And all of a sudden, if you think of like Superman flying in, it was about 20, 25 feet above me, like camouflaged, came in, went vertical, and started to descend behind the bushes. So as it's descending, all the fireflies start lighting up. My neighbor Matt kicks open the back door, comes out, takes off straight up. Bye. I'm gone. I'm not. So
Yeah. It's like, thanks for that. Yeah,
yeah,
I know
exactly.
it's that iridescent thing, the
That's it.
translucent, right? Like
Yeah.
shimmers.
And then there was an October. It was October, November, and I'm talking to the guys as I'm recording. I go, guys, there's a lot of energy here tonight. An orb appears directly in front of me, goes 90 degrees straight up. I recorded this, and then took off. It actually zigzagged and came back. When you look at the screenshot of the orb, 100%, it's a gray. You see a gray in there, and it was very natural. There was nothing untoward. There's been nothing negative. I've had well over 2,000 encounters. Every single one's been peaceful, uplifting. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you've ever been, I say been taken, but then sometimes I want to reword it to being
Mm.
borrowed, because they always give you back, right? So you've been borrowed and brought back.
With their technology, if they
Yeah.
wanted to, they could. But I did have one event happen about 3 years ago. I was very much still awake.
Hmm.
The edge of my bed, the left side, left corner began vibrating off the floor. If you think like, I don't know, like quite literally felt like 1,000 RPMs, like I was going up and I was being pressed down.
Mm.
And it felt like I was gonna just the me with the bed was just gonna go up through the wall. And my will, I just invoked it. I said, I'm not doing this. And within a few seconds, it came right back down. So there was a sort of a try
Mm.
there, but I was pretty much awake for that. But other than that, I don't. If anything else has happened, I don't remember. Like I've experienced some sort of out of body type of stuff, but that's different. You're totally in control, but nothing like
no
being,
missing time, nothing like that.
no missing time. Yeah, you know what? Nothing.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I'm sure the missing time, I'm usually asleep, so it doesn't matter. I just wake up as like, I was good. I mean, I've had experiences where like at the other house, like they would come in. It was closer to the river, and it was high up, and it was very quiet, very, very quiet area. So not a lot of traffic at night. And at one point I was just settling in to go to bed, and I just look over to my right, and there's a gray standing there about 4 feet. I just remember just like, nope. That's all I looked at him. I went, nope. And I rolled over. I just wasn't having it. I just, and in my mind, I'm like, no.
That's usually enough to send them packing.
It did. Yeah. And he did. And I felt bad because it was after the time I said, okay, I think I'm going to do this. But I would startle if it was anything that just shows up there. It's not necessarily because it was great. I just really wasn't, So from that point on, it was like, okay, we don't think we're going to do this. Don't just startle her and just show up full force. And here we are,
Can we ease into this or what?
Yeah. And it was like that afterwards, because I would hear them, like we would hear them around upstairs, like because we used to have the street light that went into one of the towers, like it went into the tower up on the second level. It would light up the whole upstairs. And then all of a sudden it just started going really dark. And I'm like, there's a street light, which is 2 stories up. And, me being the researcher, a car goes by, I'm out there trying to figure it all out. There's nothing, we were too high up in the tower section of the house, but it was pitch black. And I'm thinking, all right. And I know they don't like, they don't like the lights, LED lights, that they don't like that. So we're kind of like, okay. So we didn't really use the upstairs after a while. Like I'm just, okay, whatever. It's a big house. You can have the upstairs, right? And you could hear them. And so when I'd go to sleep, I could sense them be moving around. And I'd be just like, he said, just let me go to sleep and make me feel like I'm getting a good night's sleep. How about that? And then I don't care. And it got to be like that. And I would wake up exhausted. Like I'd been working all night or something. It's just bizarre, but I mean,
I do find even with the paranormal, like even with apparitions or whatever, if you set boundaries, for the most part, they do sort of go along with it. So, because I lived in a haunted house for like 5 years, and it was wild. It was wild.
This house was very haunted. So it was a matter of trying to separate the sounds, like made sure that we had one pretty much resident spirit, and she was only there in visitation because it was her house. She loved it. It was built for her to entertain in. So it was her house. And it was quiet, always quiet. Like back in the day, it was ridiculous, like all the activity that would go on there. But we just, like I cleared a lot of those. Like, we had our team just got rid of, like, okay, that's it. Party's over, and we kept the resident spirit. And really, like I said, she was one. And the stuff, it was just, you get accustomed to the sounds of their habits, their times, things like that, likes, dislikes. With ET, it was very, very different. It was very, very different. So the sounds were just later. They were just much, much later at night. And whereas the haunting, it was consistent throughout the day, of course, right? There's no rhyme or reason as to why they wouldn't. But so very, very, very different. But it's all the other anomalies that would happen after that, right? Like we talked about that like the other day. Merkaba.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That just floated right over the truck. 6:30 at night. It was just, at the time of year it wasn't dark. It was just, must have been a rainy day because it wasn't very sunny. And it just kind of went over the hood of the truck. It was like, and I'm starting to think that after speaking with you, that other anomaly that we saw going over, we're going over like a road, a main road, but it's a bridge that goes over the main highway. And I thought, it looks like a Chinese lantern. What is it? It's floating up at the level of the bridge, but it's going over the highway. But now when I think about how it's a bit elongated and sort of that it was probably the same thing in a different area.
It's more than likely with the Merkabahs. When I record them, I was intuitively I was guided to go back and move it very, very slowly, like literally, like frame by frame. And those objects transform like in real time. They change multiple times, shape and color a second. It's absolutely incredible, and they're beautiful. When my first encounter with the Merkabah, James spotted it with my naked eye. It looked like a red triangle with extended wingtips. And at the time, this was April 2023, I didn't know I was being photobombed by the blue Merkabah on the left. I didn't know that till after. Now, like my intuition and discernment is gotten to the place. It's so heightened. I'm aware of pretty much the whole, it gets to a point where, okay, there's 5 or 6 objects. Where else are you guys gonna pull me to look at? But the Merkabahs, like even in terms of colors, it's breathtaking.
So I'll ask you, what exactly is the Merkabah? Because people in here are probably going, floating Merkabah?
Yeah.
What is that?
So it's more of an energetic UFO. It's described as a light body ship. Yeah. So you could have one enlightened being in there or many, but they travel almost, it looks like you're looking into another dimension. What I should add, I'm getting this sort of as I mentioned that, there have been so many times when the triangle powers up, you literally look like you're looking to the other side. The light and the energy and the power that comes through that, it's almost like, yes, they are, because even in my channeling with the collective, I was told, yeah, the triangle is a teleportation device, but they are literally the portals. They come in and out. So I always say it's best to just lay aside any and all limiting beliefs regarding them, because they'll show you the impossible. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Do you find that there's certain environmental conditions that they react better in than others? Like, in other words, I myself don't want to go hang out in a muggy, hot day or in a rainy, crazy, dark, gloomy day. I'll go out in the rain at night for some reason, but just during the day it's depressing. So, but that's just me. So, do you find that there's certain conditions that, they'll come out more for?
That's a great question. They've been fairly consistent, but even with thick cloud cover, it was the triangle that powered up. Like, we're in Canada, thick cloud cover, winter. I went to go throw something in recycling a few months after the initial sighting with the triangle. The entire backyard lit up. It powered up so powerfully. And I go, automatically, okay, I'm coming outside. And I immediately began interacting with it. And it came natural to me. Can you power up? Can you do that again? And it would. So even lately, when sometimes the clouds are more cloudy than they should be, if you get my drift, over, whatever. So it'll be powering up, saying it doesn't matter what they do. I'm here, we're here, and change is coming. So
interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Yeah, where do you go with that technically? Let's go to clouds.
Oh, I got a couple of stories with that too. You want to start? Sorry, you cut out there.
Yeah, I'm coughing. I didn't want to cough in your face. That's why I'm going.
Do you want me?
You start. Yeah,
I'll start.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So they not only hide in clouds, but they will appear as clouds. Perfect example. Hi there, Heidi. A whole bunch of people came in and I couldn't say hi to them, so I want to say hi to everyone now. Then, hello everyone. I got out of my car. It was dusk, and it was so obvious to me beyond the sighting. just the instant knowing. So it was, think of a, just the top of a metal garbage can. It was circular, perfectly circular, and it moved across, darker than all the other clouds, and then just headed off. So they will hide in clouds. They can become what appears to be clouds. It's important to mention this too, though. When you make that shift or you have that awareness, you realize consciousness is everywhere, and it's even in the clouds. It's all, I've had many recordings where the sky reacts to me, and I've posted those. It's absolutely incredible, to say the least. Yeah.
So how does it react to you?
So if I'm back there and I say, like, can you light up or can you manifest? You see these incredible energy manifestations. There's one where I don't know how to describe it. The letter K, for example. So you have it just sort of expanded into like a letter K of energy in front of me. Just remarkable. There's one where I had a sense there was an object in the sky, and I said, can you power up? There's a slight power up in the video, and I tell people this. Look at it at the 9-second mark, a pulse of energy in the cloud, then this massive green manifestation. I've posted all of those, and I've posted quite a few. There was one night, I call it the wrath of God. I've posted a few times. I had hundreds of objects powering up for me at one time, the whole night, and there was zero precipitation. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was just a light show.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's a very nice experience. This is where I'm always careful because, pareidolia, right? Everything looks like there's something in the cloud. It's like, as a dragon, but there was one instance, and it could have been more, because you start watching, I think, after you have your first experience.
Yeah.
So a friend of my daughter's who Burlington, Burlington.
Oh, yeah.
She lives in one of the buildings near Spencer Smith.
Yeah.
And she's very high up. And she saw something. She saw this big cloud moving across the lake, Ontario. And it had a round circular silver piece sticking out of the back. So I get a text and she goes, yo, mama, something coming your way. Check it out. What is this kind of talk? What is this? So anyway, she clarified. She goes, no. She goes, there's a cloud coming your way with something coming out the back.
That's incredible.
So I'm like, okay, ETA. She goes, judging by where it's going, because it was slow. It wasn't moving very quick at all. It was very, very slow. And at that point, I'm thinking, okay, I probably got about 20 minutes. So I went and got ready, went down along the river to a spot we can see it. And sure enough, this thing comes by. And by the time it was coming up, it went over the river. And you got like, again, lockdown, not a lot of tourists, but there were still people out there.
Yeah.
This thing comes in and it's like it's discharging. It's going just like that. It goes, I'm going, wow, it's a lightning cloud. Me being all whimsical and scientific at the same time. And then it passes by and I look and it's got this, you can see it's like a silver or gray circular piece coming out of it, but it was elongated with a circular back because it wasn't a big round cloud. It was elongated. I'm going,
That's amazing.
I'm just like, peekaboo. I see you. And at that point, and then you could just see it sort of like the cloud just kind of come over a little bit and it just kept going. I'm just like, it's just funny. But yeah, so that was, I have to say my first experience with that, which I can't figure out what else it could have been.
Yeah, but they, like I said, it forces you to really focus.
Yes.
And even I always say this, I say this often when I'm observing these objects. I'm not creating beliefs. I'm observing it through stillness, through a silent mind. So it's not about, that's the last thing they want to be, is another distraction. So I'm observing them and I just let the energy speak to me. I let the environment speak to me. I let my intuition speak to me. So they operate beyond the thinking mind. They operate through frequency, vibration, which
Yes.
So that's universal consciousness. That's how we communicate. It's the power, it's the speed of thought. So what happens is, even with the information that I get from them, it happens the same way with my automatic writing. You get pancakes of information at once, and then you just simply know. It's an inner knowing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really, they're very interesting to experience. You know, I mean, the first one I ever saw was up north, Sudbury area. And I sat there. I came home late one evening, beautiful night. So I just laid on the hood of the car. It was summertime, because you could see everything, like this, you know, you could just look at the stars. It wasn't a city, it was in a valley near a lake. And this is where I grew up. And all of a sudden something comes zinging across, and I look, and it stopped dead. I was like, I caught my attention because it was silent, you know, and it had these lights that flashed. I'm like, okay, it's not a helicopter. I'd hear it. It's like 2 a.m, 1:30ish, in and around there. I'm like, okay, not a lot of traffic out there, you know, quiet. And I spent 20 minutes and watched this thing go down over one of the neighboring, because we had small lakes in the mountains, and it went down over one of them. And all of a sudden, within about 20 minutes, you know, caught my attention again, because it shot right up straight. So there was no missing that. I just looked, and then it sat there, and then it went quick this way, and then it went bam up on an angle, shot straight up. And the next morning, there were military helicopters from North Bay. There were 2 of them, like just circling.
Of course.
Yeah, boom, 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 boom. That's what I woke up to. Was going, oh, my head. I need an orange. You know? So yeah, so that was a bit of a validation there as well, you know. And but I mean, it's not uncommon. Like that area, that city, even today, is known for some of the most spectacular and huge amounts of UFO sightings every single year.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's astounding.
We'd see them all the time.
That's astounding. They do often even come in, they'll come in like in a stealth mode, sort of. So they're almost blended completely in the night sky. But they revealed something to me the other night. So there was a plane coming from behind me heading west, and the plane was, if I had to guess, maybe 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet. Like it was either landing or taking off. I think it was landing. But the black object, it crossed directly below it and was still visible. So showing me we're actually a lot closer than you think. And the reason I engage so much is you just want to confirm, because when they're responding to you, there was one interesting, I should mention this. I didn't get it on camera. It would have been great. So, you know, SpaceX satellites were crossing.
Yes.
You know, they cross. And one time I was just intuitively, I said, can you power up? And one of the objects responded by powering up.
So mask it in the little string there, and there it was.
The black triangle will often pretend to be a star. So it'll be ahead of me or above me. I'll glance up. You get the hit, but then it goes dark. And then I say, can you manifest again? And it does. So they have a sense of humor, and they're very playful in that sense.
I think it's fantastic. I do. I love it. So when you talk about all of these different lights, you know, having this light show going on in the sky, where do all these massive flashes of light, when they come out of nowhere, you know, what is that exactly? Is that just them?
I love this. So they are the very light that they emit. So depending on what the triangle is being, if it's being lights dancing in a cloud, it's being those lights. When it becomes a very 3D looking triangle, it's just an extension of it. So when it appeared in December, I'm going to say 2022, and Matt was behind me, I got the hit to look straight up, came from behind me out of the west, about 400 feet, one light at the tip. So, but for the most, they are the light they emit. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Now I'm going to be watching. It's hard when you're over the city. Like I find being in the South, you know, you have so many more satellites out there now, and you've got the lights from the city. Things aren't as clear.
You have to two things I like to do. Focus is a big one, but also I like to quickly check, okay, are there any ISS sightings? Because that, when that appears, it's pretty obvious and it's pretty bright. So, I just like to make sure, and then I'll mention, for example, oh, by the way, there are no scheduled sightings tonight of the ISS, or it already passed by 30 minutes ago, and this is coming from this direction. I sort of apply my medical background a little bit because I'm sort of just reporting what I'm seeing. So it's coming out of the west, time, date, and then I share, okay, so what am I experiencing, or what am I feeling, or I sense there's going to be something over here, and then so I'm
Right.
combining. Yeah.
But I mean, it's good. You're just, scratching things off the list, which
Yeah.
basically validates your experience,
Yeah.
So of course, right now, we're looking at disclosure. Well, the Americans are saying, okay, that's it. Trump's coming out there. Yeah, we're going to do this. And timing is everything. I'll leave that right there.
Yeah.
But with that being said now, what are your thoughts on that? Like what it can mean for humanity in general?
So it's almost like I have to give a little bit of just a multi-pronged answer. So,
Okay, of course.
agencies, people, the official, they have to get
three-letter agencies.
exactly.
Yeah,
So they're going to try their hand at disclosure. My only comment to that is, imagine waiting for disclosure from the very same people that have been hiding it from you. So take that as you may. Um, True disclosure will be taking place through ordinary everyday citizens, people sharing what they're experiencing. The best disclosure is firsthand, so your own experience. So, having the desire to reconnect with star family or aspects of your multidimensional self, you have to be ready for that or have a willingness. But like anything, any change, willingness is key. So if you have that willingness, that's about 90% of the work. But other than that, what I hear or observe, all I do is I basically take the Buddha's approach. I believe nothing. So they can, they can say what they want. I know what's going down, or what I've experienced. So yeah.
So because I mean it's true. Experiencers don't need that disclosure. So I mean, to have it done officially, apparently this is a really big deal.
Yeah.
So if you are, let's say a researcher, there are many of them out there, and a lot of research organizations like MUFON, for example, like CAR for another. It is a big deal to have it happen. But so let's just say they do official disclosure. What can that mean for us?
What that will do for some people, because a lot of people still deny their existence. So it's funny if you hear it. It's almost like, let's say you have a good friend and you want to help them end some suffering, but they've known you for so long, but they don't recognize your wisdom. But as soon as someone else mentions the wisdom, oh, I'm going to take that and I'm going to use that. Same sort of deal. So because someone may be a little more popular or have, let's say, a platform, there's that automatic belief. I find human nature quite interesting.
Oh, it is interesting. That's a very good word. Interesting.
So if it prepares people, that's wonderful. There are always going to be maybe some that just don't want to believe it, and that's fine. This is a world of relativity. So the last thing you want to do, and I always say this, I don't want to convince anyone of anything. Even with my teachings, you can accept it or reject it. Take what works. You can always re-examine something when one is ready to work with, let's say, like challenging negative thinking, for example. So yeah,
big one.
Yeah,
that's a really big one.
Yeah.
I do agree, in everything that you've written with respects to the collective consciousness. We have to be at a certain place collectively before they come out and say, okay, we're going to make contact. I don't know. I mean, the government might come out and say, oh, military. Oh yeah. Hey, we have, I mean, it's been happening where they've been saying, yes, I mean, look at Paul Hillier.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's deceased now, but he was one of the first, from an official level that just put it all out on the line.
Yeah. So, It serves its purpose. Like,
Mm,
I don't see anything as, we'll put it this way, as negative. So in that sense, whatever information they put out, um, will open the doors, or maybe have people realize, this we're coming to the end. In my writings, we're coming to the end of the separation experiment. If you think of us, we're in a, like, for, you could say, like in a snow globe. So if I had a magic zipper and I can unzip the sky, you wouldn't believe what's there, and I can pull it back, and that's going to happen in our lifetime. Um,
mm,
we are cut off from the rest of creation, because this was, just an experience of separation, being separate from each other, source, and them.
mm,
We're in very exciting times, and the most important thing, what I would recommend, is just anchor your awareness in the present moment. That's how you begin to resonate higher frequencies and vibrate higher, and start to match, the ETs, or these, beings. And remember not to react. It's a practice, but it's easy to get pulled into, because everything's, a lot of triggers out there. And there's nothing wrong if something upsets you, but I would recommend, don't stay there, because
mhm,
it's not really empowering to remain angry. It's,
mhm.
because all we're doing is attacking ourselves.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know? Um, so basically to make contact, the frame of mind,
Yeah.
consciousness level,
Yeah.
right? You actually suggest you have different, awareness exercises
Mhm.
that you put in there for people to practice. So can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
So number one is coming. This is like foundational. So I always knew they existed. I didn't have a belief. I knew. So having an understanding, like you have to, one has to come to that to themselves. But if you have a knowing about something, you allow that now to become your experience. So if one can cultivate or shift from that belief to, like, getting to a place where okay, I know they exist.
Mm,
Now I just have to, you know allow myself to sort of be in that space. Everything about us is creative, so our thoughts, our words. So even just sending an invitation and saying, something like, "Star family," if you're there and you want to reveal yourself, be specific, because you don't want to invite anything that's unsavory, or uh, but if you're not operating through fear, for the most
mm,
part, you won't attract anything that's otherwise.
mhm,
So that, and then cultivating focus and mindful awareness, again with the meditation, because I'll get emails, how do I meditate, or do I have to meditate before I go out there? And I'm like, how about we just do this? Just be present when you're there. When you're in the space, don't be staring at your phone. You can have your phone ready if you want to record, but let that be like a 20 or 30-minute meditation where you're just stargazing, being in the space. You could have friends with you if you want, and just observe. Just practice being an observer. That's a key one. Yeah.
yeah. That's a tough one. I
Yeah.
personally, I mean, I grew up watching the night skies. I mean, from the time I was
Mm,
a child, I grew up
yeah.
watching the night skies and found out my grandfather was the same. We had a telescope, and because
Oh, wow.
it was experiencers.
Yeah.
We go up. My parents, our grandparents, owned an island on one of a very large lake,
Yeah.
north of the area, and they were rampant up there. You saw them all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
you grow up hearing stories like that. You become very patient,
Yeah.
and you become like I always say, I'm a stargazer. I
Yeah.
love anything that has to do with the night sky. I find a lot of peace with this,
Mhm.
in solitude, in just becoming one with that
Yes.
whole presence.
Yes. It's
Well,
that
because you
vastness.
do it, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that
you just
vastness.
yeah, exactly. Oh, here we go. Hello, Carol Ann.
Hi there. Hi, Carolyn. Oh,
Um,
Carolyn.
yeah,
Hi. Oh,
Carolyn,
yes.
yeah. Um,
We're gonna need a letter to let her in.
yeah.
You're late. I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah, but, so I think it's very important to go within, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, going within, finding that inner peace, and being okay to just lay there and wait. And maybe that's the key. Maybe when the mind is so busy and so cluttered, you just miss it.
Bingo. It's so much. It's oh boy, that I just like the downloads come. It's like everything about us is creative. Our vibrational frequency, our thoughts, our outlook, you name it.
Mhm.
So if we're so distracted, you quick we shift through parallel realities like billions of times, like a second. Like it's constant. The
Mhm.
key is to be consistent in what you're choosing or being. So yeah, this can be a good way to not only connect with star family, but evolve as you go along. So it forces, I don't want to use the word forces, but it really makes for an atmosphere to become more still, more
Mhm.
present, more alert, which is key to becoming more discerning.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
Mm.
It's deep, Julia.
But see how it sort of builds? It's like one
Yeah.
force or energy builds on another one, just like even with negativity, it gives you the same thing till you end up with dread at the end. So same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
So you talk about the timing of human evolution
Yeah.
and ET contact. So with respect to our evolution, there is a big theory, that we were meddled with and interfered with,
Mhm.
with DNA. Like Anunnaki comes in because we
Yeah.
kind of go from Neanderthal to hello being a
Mhm.
this is full on.
An
We're different.
evolution jump.
Are we the missing link? Is that
Yeah.
the missing link?
Uh,
They the
that
missing link.
I love this. So yeah, my deep sense is that human beings were sort of tampered with, but we have to look at this even from, let's say, a broader scope even.
Hmm.
So they remember us before we even took on these forms. So they're like you could say almost like our spiritual family as well. So they see us. This is what's so interesting. They see us as limitless with all this potential. But the question is, who has remembered that themselves?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
a pill to
Mm,
swallow. You know what I mean? So
it is, it
so
is.
so and that's fine. And again, you have to. It's a cultivation, just like anything else.
Mhm,
But human beings, yeah, we've quantum leaped, and my deep sense, and I don't wanna go maybe too much into this, but I often say enlightenment is only the beginning. We have so many untapped potentials. You know, when they say like scientists say, "Oh, there's junk DNA." 98% of our DNA. No, no, it's not.
no, it's not.
And as people activate, for example, like when the third eye activates and silences the mind, you allow now the universal consciousness to express through you. So if you think of universal consciousness, number one, it's unbounded and it's limitless. So you begin to express, for example, people start expressing psychic abilities, discernment. You know things beforehand. You experience visions, mystical events, and the paranormal, including them. But
Mhm,
there's no limits to what we can evolve and become.
mhm,
And don't be surprised if you start seeing people demonstrating things like levitation or teleportation, bilocation, trilocation.
mm,
Um, that's my deep sense. What they've reminded me is of our potential. They can't give us anything except remind us of who we are.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. You have a quote in the book that I really liked and wanted to share, where it basically says, "We've become a planet blanketed in denser emotion, darkness, and pain, and as a result, identifying with fear. This state of mind is unsustainable both from an individual and a collective perspective." So, I guess where I'm going with it is the fear, aside from that loosh thing, the
Mhm.
fear,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The fear is going to hinder that part of yourself from being able to let go,
Yeah.
to being able to make contact, because
Y
it's they are instilling it's fear everywhere.
Absolutely. So, if I can describe fear just to give some
Of
insight,
course, yes.
fear is a possessive entity, and it's also very enticing, and it
Mm,
also is that which hijacks our consciousness when we step into this world of form.
mm,
So, fear operates between past and future,
mm,
bounces back and forth. That's what kept me stuck until I was 33 and had that awakening. So, I wanted to know how to end this suffering. So, the way to start to approach fear is number one, question it. Why are you giving automatic belief to it? Because most of the things people worry about never really happen, number one. The other thing about fear, from a spiritual vantage point or from stillness, it's the dreaming state. Or you can say, so you know that, remember that nursery rhyme, row, row, row your boat gently
Yes.
down the stream?
Yes.
Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Yes.
Life is a dream, and it's
Life is a dream.
consciousness that's dreaming. And when you operate through an activated and open third eye, you recognize that the spiritual world is here and now. It's not separate. So when you realize circumstances, because oftentimes, when we focus on circumstances, that creates a lot of fear, worry, panic. Circumstances don't matter. If we can transcend them by observing instead of reacting, that's how you make massive shifts in your life, by observing things, because it's our human conditioning, which is fear, the source. The ego is fear in and of itself. So we can call it a multi-headed dragon. It comes as guilt, anger, gluttony, you name it, but it's always the same thing. It's the ego. It just sort of camouflages itself as these other emotions. So becoming an observer of it, because things are going to I don't want to say this to sound negative, but things may appear even crazier on the outer. But that's your reminder to observe the outer and cultivate faith and trust, because those are the forces that dismantle fear.
The outer.
Yeah,
it's one of the ways I went for the outer realm.
Yeah.
The outer.
I love that. Yeah.
There's a lot of little hidden meanings to why I chose the name in the first place, and and even the raven as a symbol, being like bringer of knowledge, being the bridge between the dimensions in the world, and
I love that.
So I look at the dream state that you talk about. I look at as like sleepwalking.
Yes.
That's exactly what it feels like.
It's a program. It's just a program.
Yeah. Well, I see it more now than ever. And I'm like, for gosh sakes, people.
Can I answer that question?
This is for you. How do you get past the fear? This one's for you.
So one thing is to recognize fear as the ego or the negative self. So there's your true self it's all about identification. Your true self is silent, is eternally silent. It's present moment based or focused. So when an automatic negative thought or fear approaches you or presents itself, you have a choice. See, right now, when we're operating through fear, there is no free will. Your free will comes the moment when you say, I can decide if I'm going to give this belief or not. So I'm going to choose. And then people will say, well, isn't it suppressing if you're just observing something and not reacting to it? No, you're actually giving it a place to die, because your inner being is more than powerful enough to transmute negativity. You know why? It's unconditional love. It is it's a force, the likes of which it's beyond words. So observing a negative thought, choosing not to react to it, remembering the present moment, that's how you get past fear, because it likes to operate between that past and future. So the ego is very complicated. Awareness or enlightenment, it's very simple, actually. Present moment awareness, and having that freedom, what you're going to give belief to, when you realize you're manifesting your destiny by what you believe in. Yeah.
Well put. Well put.
Yeah.
And I agree with this. Shadow work is ego death. It's the hardest thing to achieve. Long before I became a light worker, I was a shadow worker, and people, like, the ego death is just one part of all of that, but it's a very important part of that.
Yeah. I often say there is that initial ego death that one experiences when they have that spontaneous awakening, but you can cultivate ego deaths. Anytime you forgive someone, anytime you let something go, there's a little mini ego death. Now, the question is, are you conscious of that? Because when you're conscious that you're letting something die energetically, that's when you give life and you allow, I'll use the word, the resurrection of your true self. Something has to die, the ego, for your true self to rise up, to come to the forefront of your consciousness.
That's again the perfect way to put it. So how do you unplug and stay unplugged?
So start becoming an observer of it. Your identification is what is allowing it to rob you of your vital energy and perpetuate it. It needs your energy. If you think of a great white shark, let's say we are the great white sharks, and you have these fish that suck in, sort of like these parasitic fish that just sort of hang on the shark. That's the ego. It's sort of like this energetic vampire that just It gives us this initial identity, and this is actually very important. There's nothing wrong with the ego. We need it to play our roles as human beings. It gives us that initial contrast to our inner light, but it comes to a point in time when if it's gotten so out of hand, or sometimes I describe it, it's become like a monster because, the fear has gotten so much, or the anger, that it can become a catalyst for an awakening.
It honestly, it reminds me of a tulpa. Ego reminds me of a tulpa because a tulpa is created and manifests into its own entity. And
Yes.
sometimes, if the ego is strong enough and it's big enough, it does, it controls you.
Yeah,
Much like
absolutely.
much like a tulpa would,
Absolutely. And
So
it takes on even different roles. You can almost put them in categories. Like, for example, like an academic ego. So someone who is so embedded with academics, and it becomes their life, that anything contrary to that appears to be a threat, because the ego is so fragile by nature. So anything that contradicts it, it's like that's a threat, or there's initial reaction and that initial resistance. So yeah, that's how it operates. Reaction, resistance. It is resistance.
I agree.
Yeah.
Caroline, I think meditation is the closest thing we get to it. The ego is always with us until we leave this planet.
Yes, but the only thing I'll add is you can get to a point where your vibrational frequency is so high, it's cast out. The mind is left silent. So now all you do is occasionally experience it. Even the word occasionally is relative, because there's always the now moment. So, but it becomes a reminder to awaken rather than something you identify with it. But I appreciate the comment so much.
Well, essentially, you want to rule the ego. You don't want the ego to rule you. Would I be correct in saying
There
that?
that's, yeah, you nailed it. So before the shift, it is the ruler because we react to it. You want to get to the point where you connect with your conscious self. And if I really quickly, I can
Of
give almost
course.
like a energetic overview. So if we think of the atom, right? You have the neutron center, which is neutral, stillness, inner stillness, so nothingness. Then you have the electron, we'll call that the negative self, the ego, negatively charged. Then you have the proton, the positive self. That's your conscious mind that's aware of here and now. At the moment of one's awakening, the vibrational frequency is so high, the ego now is cast out. Now it's left just orbiting where it's in its proper place. And now the proton is closer. Your conscious self is now more connected with source or stillness. And that's when you really achieve that inner balance. Because as human beings, we've been bombarded with negativity. There's just an overall blanket of negativity, and then we experience it individually. We have to give ourselves some credit here. We're a lot more powerful than we realize with what we're experiencing, especially in this ascension process. So that's it in a nutshell, an overview. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with ego. It's bringing awareness and clarity to it. Balance. That's
Yeah.
the balance. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's practice.
It is, because if you are so accustomed to being a negative thinker, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
then it's easy to think, well, the glass is half empty, than it is to say, look, the glass is half full.
Yeah.
And
I
so, right?
I love that you brought this up, because it's important. Like, you're not trying to deny anything or
Oh,
things. What we're talking about is, what do you want to embody? So if you want to embody, for example, I'll give you some examples. If you want to embody extraordinary health, you don't want to focus and repeat in your consciousness, let's say, a diagnosis that was given, because doing that will just create more fear, lower your vibrational frequency, and coalesce more energy into matter. Just like, when we're upset, people say, "What's the matter?" Or abundance, an abundant state of mind. If we focus on, if things are a little tight or something, or let's say you're in a place that you don't want to be and you want to be somewhere else, focusing, reacting, feeding that, because it's all in your mind. Even the circumstances we experience, all it is our outlook projected outward. And then that's what sort of perpetuates it. So things like that keep us stuck. So the way to get past the circumstance is begin to observe what the ego is painting, whatever situation it is. Get to a point where you've taken away so much energy that you can now see it neutrally. And as you do that, also affirm, feel, embody that which you desire. That which you desire, as we let go of how and when it'll manifest. That's the key. Attachment, that's our big one to get over as human beings. We're attached to things. And we also want to know, when is it going to manifest? There's that part of us, right? A little bit of exactly. So, but when we affirm that, we're basically saying we don't have it yet. Whereas source, it's instant. And one big thing that the ships and the ETs have reminded me, source hears us. When I have an object 3-4 miles away responding, that's that's a unified field winking back. So source hears us, because source is as close as our breath. Now we got to embody that higher self. Yeah.
I love that. The interaction. There's one spot here where we were able to interact, and I believe it was, I guess, what they call a light gate. And I called it a portal. So it's like, nope, it's a light gate. I'm like, okay. Wow. And I would just sit there and I go, where are you? And you just one time, boop, that's it.
Ooh.
And not every time I asked, but I mean, I wasn't there every day to make this connection. But it's fascinating to me. Just think with this little ant on a on this little beach, and yet you can have such an intense connection that it's not inconsequential.
No, we have not been forgotten. So these are our guides. They've been inspiring us for a long time. They've made it clear to me they're not our saviors.
Okay, I see. That's where I'm going next. And you must be
I'll let you. Should I let you go ahead? Go ahead. we are yeah.
Well, because it's like, this is a real big one for people. Because how many people do you say, take me off this planet, come get me? It's just the whole world.
You see the t-shirts, you see the buttons.
Everywhere. Now, when you think about that and you go back into ancient civilizations, they not only did they intervene, they coexisted. And I'll give you two examples: the Hopi and the Ant people, and their existing current prophecy. But cataclysm came, the Ant people brought them beneath. They helped them. And this is a standing part of the oral tradition, the oral history. Now, there was also the god Morop, which wasn't, he's known as a god. Morop, by the way, means like iguana. Anyway, this was in Peru. Now, around 100 to 800 AD, this being was like a guardian. And they had like, okay, you're the go-between between the living and the dead, things like that, blah, blah, blah. But the role in society, according to legend, this guy lived among the humans in caves, and he would help them with knowledge on agriculture, engineering, social organization. When cataclysm came, he cared for them. So you see, there was this interaction. Now, they didn't go off world, but the fact is that they did intervene. So you're saying, we're not your savior, we're not intervening, you're all pretty much SOL.
No. So when I say they're not our saviors, they're not going to do the inner work for us to become enlightened.
That's okay. Thank you for clarifying. That's a big one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is going to be a mass event where they appear. That this is what we're being prepared for. And as we do the inner work, we vibrate and begin to match their frequency. They see us as equals. It's us who have forgotten. I'm sorry, what is this?
She's saying, where's my alien Uber?
Tell her I'll send one over in about 10 minutes. Look up.
Jump your land.
And stop by. Actually, I'll probably be in it. No. They've made it clear in that sense that they don't want to be another distraction, like another thing to worship. So that's what I'm getting at with that. So they see us as whole and complete. But we're going to get to a point where things are going to look so rough. We're going to have no choice. There will be that mass presentation. Don't be surprised if even beforehand, you start seeing human beings performing or demonstrating things that should be impossible, as another way to prepare the masses. So, but that's what I mean in that sense is they're not going to come and give you enlightenment. The one thing I will add, like even with my writings or my teachings, all that wisdom and clarity that comes from the highest self, which is also them. So there's that connection. So that those come. I often say wisdom is a one-way street from the high self to the local mind. But that's what I mean by that. So I'm glad you brought that up. That was very important. So
yeah,
continue.
It is a big one.
It's a big one.
It's like the whole prime directive thing is what I'm thinking. It's just not going to help us out.
Exactly. When you're, I'll put it this way: when you're totally stepped into your power, you remember you don't need no savior because you remember source within, and salvation simply means protection from harm. So what does that mean? That self-inflicted harm by identifying with the ego. That's what that means.
I've often been told that I was very protected. I've seen it.
Oh, absolutely.
I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
Many, many times, and you just, things that happen, you're kind of like, how? How is
wild stuff? Oh
yeah, very
they
much so.
They intervene that way, or angels will intervene that way.
Yes,
you hear of stories that are incredible, or some
Oh,
I don't know where a mother lifts a car off a child. Well, in that instant, she identified completely with stillness and that energy. The energy of the chakras. All you become one. So mind, body, and spirit. Oh boy, everything's online. We're talking great strength.
Yeah. Thank you.
Caroline's the best.
She is.
These two are the best.
The schmoozer. I love her.
I know.
Christina from Facebook. I just joined and apologize if it's already been discussed. No, I think you're safe. May I ask, what is the frequency that the extraterrestrials have? Can that be measured in megahertz? Thank you.
That's a great. So they operate through universal consciousness, and that's the unifying factor between them and us. And it's inner stillness or total silence, and it's continuous. So they are transcendent of ego. So I'm not sure how you can measure that. It probably might be measurable, but it's 0 point. So it's nothingness. But it's that nothingness that is teeming with potential, wisdom, clarity, strength, you name it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. So you do talk about in your book that their insights not so much different than ours. So was this was obviously like a channeled conversation that you were having, or meditative, or just a connection?
Well, I wanted to present it as question and answer so people can have sort of this really sort of greater understanding, but it was coming pretty oftentimes the answers will come even before I finish writing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So basically, when you say not so different from us, I mean, you got information on, their thoughts on our differences, on relationships, on spirituality, the whole oneness, negative thinking thing.
Yeah.
So what are their thoughts on all of that?
So basically, they're transcendent of religion. I always saw religion as a stepping stone. I always knew God existed or source. I always found it like, I'm like, at Easter or Christmas, as a Catholic, you go and you kiss the statue. And I thought that was odd. I was 7. And I'm like, this is odd. So they are transcendent of that. And they have said, basically our spirituality is your spirituality, in the sense that your true essence is silent, still, and that's universal. It's universal consciousness, awareness. So they're operating through that awareness, and they just, through their evolution, and also from remaining on the other side, we'll say, relatively speaking, they haven't forgotten who they are, and they remember who we are. So they see us as family, through oneness. I gave that analogy about sharks, and it's a good way to sort of have our energies mesh more with them. They said this with a bit of sarcasm. We look at sharks, but we don't think they're alien, but they have a very alien existence. They look really different. They breathe underwater. They're massive. But we don't see them as alien because we grew up and had an understanding. Well, it's sort of the same thing with them. Once you have an understanding, you don't see them so much as alien. The other thing is, when you operate through oneness, nothing is truly alien. There's only that which has been remembered or forgotten.
Because we're one.
We're one, exactly.
Yeah. I am.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I will tell you this about whales and dolphins.
Ooh.
They it's believed that they have a stronger connection to extraterrestrials
Yeah.
than even many people do. And
Yeah.
if you remember Carl Sagan, he and a team of scientists started an organization called the Order of the Dolphin, and they believed that the language of dolphins was the closest to, I believe, I don't know if it was the Greys or what they made mention
Mm.
of, but they believe that was the key to language and connections. And it's funny because there are cases where UFOs, circular UFOs, have been seen over the water, and dolphins have been seen swimming in a circle underneath the craft. And if you
This
remember the episode of Star Trek with the whales, the humpback whales,
Yeah.
huh?
This
Remember?
doesn't surprise me. I
Yeah.
actually had this conversation with someone the other day. That's why I think it's illegal to try to interact with. I don't know if he was saying if it was
Yeah.
somewhere in Canada
Dolphins.
or the US. It's illegal to interact with them or whales. So
Yeah.
um, it does. We need to sort of look at everything through that eye of I'll say it non-judgment, because they are highly evolved and they're a lot more evolved than we can even understand right now.
Oh,
Yeah, I
100%.
get that. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I get
right?
that.
We're
Yeah,
not the only ones,
yeah.
but he's got a loaded question, he says. So this is a loaded question. If
Sure.
abundance is in the silence, is that why there are so many artificial frequencies, thank you, that bombard us 24/7? My ears never stopped ringing over the last 12 years or so. I find for me, it's gotten a heck of
Mm.
a lot worse.
That's a great question. So, yes, I'll say this, abundance is one of the potential realities in silence. So the stillness carries everything good, bad, you name it, or what we
Mhm,
perceive as good and bad, right? So
mhm,
abundance, lack, all those things are options, depending what we embody and focus on. But yes, their goal is to make things noisier, louder, or even try to affect our electrical, our magnetic system. So you need to sort of just come from an awareness. It's sort of like that Bible statement: "No weapon formed against me shall ever prosper."
mhm,
And it's amazing he mentioned, so for example, the ringing. Actually, I should share this. I was in Kingston a couple of years ago visiting my brother-in-law at the time, and I was picking up on incredible piercing high frequency ringing. And I instantly got really centered in my stillness. And it went on for about 7 minutes, and I woke
mm,
him up and I said, "Are you hearing any of this?" And he really couldn't pick up on it too much. But I'll put it this way, had I not been so anchored in stillness and not identified and reacted to that, I
mhm,
could see how that could make someone really, 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 really angry. So I
mhm.
thought I'd share that.
Yeah,
And that
thank
only
you.
happened once, and that was about 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm like, this is interesting. So
Yeah, well, it is because I think it pertains to this. So if silence is no longer available to us, are we effectively cut off from source? Or is that the goal, cutting us off from the
mm,
godlike,
s
like
s
the
yeah.
transhumanism,
Oh, yeah.
everything?
Well, that's what they'd love, and they'd love to become our gods.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
gonna happen, that's not our
Yeah.
timeline. This we're never cut off, so we're never cut off. So the more you practice going inward, it's your awareness and your awareness of the thinking mind that can begin the process of dissolving it, and then you
Mhm,
recognize it's from an introductory point of view, when you start becoming aware of the space between your thoughts, that's the
mhm,
stillness peeking through. So
mhm,
think of, it's just the ego is just the blanket. It's this little tiny blanket covering the vastness that you are of consciousness. And
mhm,
we think we're this little thing that's limited, that's fearful, and it's the biggest
mhm,
self-created hoax of all time. We are limitless, but I can't convince anyone. Everyone has to come to that themselves. But we're never cut off from source. We are creative by nature. So our
mhm,
thoughts, words, our outlook, our emotions, those
mhm,
make up our vibrational frequency. So
mhm,
cultivating and cleaning that up, the present moment, for example, The ego doesn't want to acknowledge the present moment. You know why? Because it's the beginning of the end for the ego. If we really, really realize that life is now, and the miracle is that everything that has happened and will happen is unfolding through this one eternal moment. And when you look at that, you're like, that's a glimpse into the vastness of source, that it's all happening now. We just created this illusion of time and space. You're there, I'm here, but we're not separated. We can't have a negative thought or even extend gratitude to someone without instantly experiencing it. There's your proof of oneness. Yeah.
Okay, I am getting to all the questions, so hang tight. So bouncing off of that, if I'm on the phone with someone and there's so much static on the line, it's that noise that makes the communication all but impossible. The connection is still there, but quality is bad.
Exactly. So the more you connect with the present moment, recognize the reality of the present moment, and start starving the ego, and create more space, the more you step into the silence and you realize what was always present. That's what happens when I had my ego death and I came back. I realized source was always present. It was just my lack of awareness of source or stillness.
Okay, so Vet Girl, I'll get you in a second. I have to jump over to Facebook. I got to kind of go in order. Christina, I see that Jiulio has a book called The Healing Frequency. Can that frequency be accessed by anybody through stillness?
That's a great question. Inner stillness is the healing frequency. I had a spontaneous healing event shortly after my third eye activation. So the potentials in stillness, almost beyond words. When you connect with stillness, everything's like anything's possible, because now you're in the unified field, and it is the healing frequency. It is unconditional love, and it casts out negativity. The ego can't withstand its power. It's absolutely incredible. It's your true self.
There we go. Now back over here. I have a question. Can neuroleptics and antipsychotics cut you off from source? Some people say no. Some people say yes. What are your thoughts?
That's a great question. The first thing I'll say is nothing can separate us from a source ever. What it can do, though, is sort of lower our frequency and make us think we're more separate from source. Or some of these side effects, include, let's say, anger, or, make us feel more agitated or irritated. A lot of these medications have side effects, but there's absolutely nothing that can, because your inner being, the soul, that's source. Your own enlightenment is only becoming aware of your very own awareness, your awareness.
Hi, Mel.
Hi there.
Okay, so perfect. Okay, so as we move along, when it comes to quantum stuff, a lot of people think quantum and they get really messed up. They're just like, quantum, that's science, and they don't associate consciousness and evolution, because you really have to evolve. You have to have an awakening and an awareness, is everything has to sort of follow suit, right? But when you throw quantum in the mix, like, how does that fit in with awareness and evolution and consciousness and all of that? So
I love this. So another word for quantum is just, you can say, the unified field. So in becoming nothingness, thank you, Wayne. In becoming nothingness, that's what the return, that's what enlightenment is. Your true state is in becoming nothing, you become everything, and you tap into potentials and possibilities. I'll give a short little example. When I bought a house in Burlington, and I've never done anything like this. I instantly knew I'm going to rip out the carpet on the stairs. I'm going to do, dark and white runners. I knew what I wanted to do the front yard. I did landscaping. I added a bar. All these downloads. I've never done anything like that. What I did was, now in retrospect, now in hindsight, I tapped into a version of myself that did that, another potential reality, another version of me. This is important to mention. We do this stuff all the time. We tap into these little geniuses. We suddenly realize, how did I know how to do that? Or how did I, do this? And it's because we are multidimensional beings and we're always operating through the unified field. There's no escaping it. It's here and now. So the quantum field, now we're talking about even the level of thought. Isn't it incredible how one little fearful thought, and then allowed to become bigger and bigger and snowball with momentum, and our reaction can either, for example, make us sick, make us worry, create stress, ruin a relationship. For example, someone who, we'll give an example, someone who's dismissive, avoidant, they're operating through fear. So it's amazing how that little tiny thing, that potential that's been given belief and reaction and identified with, can shape one's destiny, either good, bad, positive, negative. So we're always operating through the unified field. I'll put it this way: we never left heaven. Heaven is a state of mind. It's stillness. So we create heaven or hell, and it's just states of being. so it depends what you focus on, because that's how powerful we are. I often say awareness is everything, and it's what we become aware of, we give life to, including the soul. That's the return of your true self, the awakening.
Well, it's sort of taking away the conditioning as well, because I think the conditioning, I think that's half the battle, at least.
That's the whole. You just hit it out of the park there. It's the human. It's the human conditioning. We had very well-meaning parents, teachers, doctors, who demonstrated this is how things are. But it's been a generational thing that we've been taught to be limited. Again, there's perfection in all this. We had to forget who we truly are. And when you operate from that, then you realize there's really no one to blame. And that allows you to even forgive others, because you realize all of this serves a purpose. And ultimately, it's to be the catalyst for this shift in consciousness that we're in the middle of. Exactly. Yeah. We forget to remember.
And it's a cruel joke. We all plan and come back here. Yeah, okay. And it's kind of like, well, you have to get it right this time. Well, how do I know what I got wrong?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to just get that right when I don't even remember what I got wrong.
Maybe we should open up a school and we'll start grading people.
I know.
But basically, like me personally, I know through a deep knowing, this is my last go around here. I've just come back.
Stop your bragging.
I love that.
Some of us are desperate.
That wasn't even. But it's my last.
Yes, I know.
It's my last go around. Sorry, see you, Michelle. I'll see you from up there. I'll send you a postcard.
Thanks for that.
So I know this is. I've only come back to anchor in new. I'm gonna say it. I'm here to anchor in New Earth, the frequencies, as you are. We're here. Everyone's in different parts of the world, and also to demonstrate what's possible. When you think about what's happening, for example, in my backyard, I'm experiencing the impossible. It should not be possible. But when you tap into or awaken to the multidimensional self, you're operating through the impossible. The impossible becomes I'm possible. It becomes possible. So again, there's even that quote, with God, with source, all things are possible.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to be laughing throughout the night. Like I'm just going to.
Mister, I'm not coming back here.
Yeah.
So because a lot of us like to say that, but
yeah. Oh no, I
really happening. I'm just kind of like,
enjoy me while you can, folks.
Yeah, right. My postcard from the ethereal realm. That's
pretty much. Yeah. I'll come up with something nice with a Sasquatch and maybe a UFO.
Okay,
it'll be nice.
Together would be awesome. Tall learner, but
done. Done.
Transitioning from human to cosmic and kind of getting the whole light body 3, 4, 5D consciousness thing going. So where do you want to touch with that? Because again, evolution.
This is great, and I could briefly explain this because there's so much people talking about 5D and things like that. So 3D consciousness, or the thinking mind, that's what we take on when we come here. When you get to a point when you start questioning your beliefs, and you start challenging them and you start questioning even this reality, there's the bridge into 4D. So you're operating through 4D. 5D, when you're anchored in that, you've had a third eye activation, the mind is silent, you're operating through 5D consciousness. It's important for me to mention this. That's already within us. You have to awaken to it. So it's not, nothing has to be added to us. Enlightenment is a very destructive process. Your true self, what it is, it annihilates anything that's untrue. It consumes it like a fire. So when you're operating through 5D consciousness or inner stillness, an automatic negative thought, often as it arises, is consumed by the unconditional love you're operating through. So it dissolves. You just observe it, and it just dies in your consciousness. And then there's that continuous sort of ego death and resurrection. You awaken and reawaken. A great way to do that, or start really embodying 5D consciousness, follow your breaths. One breath in, and then breathe out. There's an ego death. Let that moment die. If we can even just cultivate letting moments die, and not identifying so much with the past and the future, the gift that comes from doing that, you can still experience the ego, only now you're not suffering. That's a gift, because
so essentially you're in control.
You're in control. So you're able to experience it. That's the key. And then you realize, so through inner stillness, so in 2005, when I made that shift, I awoke to new earth. I knew it was here and now, because you're looking at the outer world through silence, through stillness. So you see it, even though, let's say I'm in a room, there's pictures on the wall, there's a couch, there's a lamp, but there's no dialogue. It's oneness. You recognize the eternal flowing through everything and everyone. And then you realize the futility in judging anything, even with those who were in charge, because you realize to do so would just lower your vibrational frequency. And you also realize we're going through this ascension process. There's also that talk of ascension. All that is ascending in the chakras. So most of us, are operating through second and third chakras, or somewhere in between. That's why there's so many. It appears that, although it appears like there's so many personalities, it all depends on what chakra you're mostly or primarily operating from. When you're operating and you've ascended into all of them, there's that total integration. So you can be playful. I listen to AC/DC when I lift weights. It doesn't change my stillness. You know what I mean? I still enjoy those things, but you're able to enjoy them, and it's not affecting you. Now you are impacting your environment rather than the outer world being repeated in your consciousness. That's the big shift. So that I should clarify that.
Like
so
a paradigm
3D consciousness, we operate from the outside in. We observe the outer world, and we often react and we create fears and limiting beliefs. The shift in 5D, you're observing the outer world, and you realize the power and the potential in your thoughts, words, your mind. You observe the outer world rather than react to it. Or if there is a reaction, you realize, okay, I'm going to forgive myself and let that go, so you don't remain there. And now when your frequency is so high, you are impacting your world.
So, I mean, we get into, you talk about like the paradigm shift and so on. Haven't we shifted many times before? Like the planet has shifted, and now they're like, no, there's a planetary shift coming again. And then there's us shifting.
Yeah.
So haven't we done that?
So we go in
trying.
So we go right. So we go in cycles. We go in cycles.
Yeah.
So the outer world is reflected from our inner world. So Mother Earth is ascending in consciousness. Everything is rising in consciousness. At the same time, I say this in many of my books, although it looks like the earth is going to hell in a handbasket, now's your opportunity to cultivate faith and trust. People will say, well, how do I cultivate faith and trust? This is a really good way. Briefly reflect on times where there seemed to be no way, or a sticky situation, and yet a way somehow was made, even with all the resistance and the fear. So that's a nice reminder, but when you start speaking that, and affirming that. The other thing I should mention, I mentioned this when I spoke with Carol, and there can be sometimes a feeling of helplessness when we see what's going on in our country and in other countries.
Yeah.
So, and I understand that, but if you remember who you are and who you're connected to, it would be a wonderful thing to start speaking and affirming and feeling that which you desire.
Mm.
That which you desire. It's
Mm.
incredibly empowering because, there's that phrase, if, one person can make a difference. Well, if everyone started affirming, or remembering new earth is here and now, that I am unharmable, that all that I desire shall come to fruition. There's a doozy. Did I leave anything out? The word all. But as you're affirming this, you're saying it with belief is great from a knowingness as you let go. This is the key. As you let go of how and when. We the law of attraction.
Yes.
We get caught up in that, in the manifestation and when it's going to happen. Meanwhile, source is the elephant in the room. Awaken to the present moment. Remember who you are one with. And then as you literally delight in that communion, everything then just unfolds. You're now in the current. You're in the flow. You're allowing things. Now things are happening to you and for you, with oftentimes like just uttering something and things are manifesting. It becomes, you realize your whole life is a miracle, and that miracles are not the exception, they're the norm. So I think that was important to mention because, and I understand that, we get caught, the law of attraction, and it's often about, attainment, but there's nothing material that will ever satisfy the ego. The ego will always, there's always something missing. We have to remember who we are beyond that. And then I'm sorry, can people
finish up. Can people interfere with our manifestation whenever you can?
So like I said, don't get caught up in the when is it going to arrive, because waiting will keep you waiting. You want to embody, think, speak, and this is the kicker, feel. So that is creating gratitude, appreciation for that which you desire. The word desire, when translated, means from the Father. In other words, what we desire for our life is what Source or God desires for us. So what does Source want from us? To be fearless, to express ourselves. Our chakras, just like we're expressing ourselves through Source in this life, our chakras are dying to express themselves through us as what? As clarity, stability, strength, wisdom. But we have to surrender, let go, allow, remember.
And that's a tough one for a lot of people.
That's so that, and all it is the doorman, the ego, the resistance. Yeah. So
it's we need to learn how to be the student and the teacher.
Yes. So it's I often say when you're in the awakened state, everything is a teacher and everything speaks to you. So someone could say a comment, a stranger even, and that'll direct you to what you have to do. It happens so many times. Something will pop up and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do something. Will pop up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to throw an email out and maybe offer to do a book signing at this place. Next thing you know, oh yeah, we're going to order all your books and we're going to carry them in stock. I'm like, this is crazy. So just that, if I can answer that question.
Absolutely.
No one can stop you from manifesting unless you believe they can. You see what I mean? So the minute, just like, for example, I'm often asked, can fluoride prevent you from activating the third eye? Well, I used to be a dental hygienist and give myself these bonus fluorides every 6 months before my awakening. So I was fluorided up. No, didn't stop. Third eye activated, silence the ego. So if you think that something can stop you, that's that trick. That's that self-sabotage, because now we're giving our power away to someone else. So just to clarify, no one can stop you from manifesting that which you desire if you are intending it and you're practicing what you should in terms of letting go of how and when, embodying the manifested result, and practicing living in the present moment. All those components allow you to be fulfilled here and now, rather than waiting to be fulfilled when this arrives, because that is the trick. That's what keeps us unfulfilled.
And you know what? I think it's also important to note with the collective consciousness, things travel quick. And I always go back to this to these experiments that I like to do, because that's the researcher in me. Experiments, right? And the first time I ever tried it was many years ago. And I had just filmed a project and they wanted to interview my daughter as part of this. I said, I want you to say swell. And she goes, what? I said, she's like 14, 15. I said, no, seriously, when they interview you, somewhere in there, say the word swell.
There's a
Nobody's
word I
heard it
haven't
since
used
like
in a
the
while.
50s, right? I know. But that was the idea. So anyway, they interview her and she comes out and I'm just standing there and she comes out and they ask, oh, what's it like living with your mom, being this and that? She goes, it's swell. Honest to God, everywhere. Oh, she was a good sport.
Yeah.
But the interviewer was kind of like, what the heck was that?
Where
But
did that come from?
all of a sudden, I started hearing that word everywhere. So through the years and
Yes.
right up to recently, it's like that song that
Yeah.
you're like, God, I wish I could hear that song. And you
Yeah.
just say it. And all of a sudden, everybody's
Manifest.
talking about it
Yeah.
and it's coming on all over the
Yeah.
place. It uses it like it travels so quick that
Yeah.
if we did, can you imagine if we did really positive things? We put out one positive word every day. If
Yeah.
everybody did one positive word every day, how that would make itself just go around.
Even just practicing gratitude that humanity is already free and we're already living in new earth. One of the words I use often, I don't know if you notice when we email back and forth, gosh, I like to throw that in. Gosh, are you kidding? No, don't
Golly
worry.
gee willikers.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah, it's true
exactly.
though.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so with the law of attraction and again with that fulfillment, when you empty yourself, so when you awaken to stillness, it's that emptiness that allows the universe to refill you continuously.
Mhm.
And so don't wait for it's like it's I like they're hitting me with this. Don't wait for to be happy or to be fulfilled or to,
Right.
although we have the opportunity to cultivate those now.
Mhm.
Again, you don't want to force yourself to feel those things, but realize that the opportunity is there and the potential to cultivate those.
Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah.
Copacetic is another
Uh,
one. Now everybody's gonna be saying it.
yeah,
Copacetic, people.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be sending that to you.
Copacetic. Or,
Copacetic.
gosh, I was copacetic.
Gosh, golly.
Golly gee willikers. Try that one.
That's a good one.
I know. So this is the book. Now I got to come and just move this for a minute so we can see it all.
Thanks.
Where can people buy your book? I mean, I do
Yeah.
have it in the show description. I cheated a little bit. It's in there.
Yeah. So this one's available through Amazon as Kindle or paperback,
Mhm.
and it's part guide to enlightenment because it shows you how to raise your vibrational frequency and then gives you deep insights into the phenomena, who they are relative to us, and yeah. So
Mhm. So no fear,
yeah,
embrace it,
yeah.
and
Remember that we chose this. We chose to be here at this point in time, and
for
just
whatever
remember you're
reason.
a lot more powerful than you can imagine,
Mm.
because I'll just say it, because who you are one with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That is a big one. Well, I had, of course, an amazing time. I knew I would with you joining us this evening.
Hang on. I adore you because I've been watching you
Thank you.
for years on all those shows. So to do this, you know this. I've said this to Carol Ann. I'm like, I adore both of you. So
Aw,
I'm very grateful. I can't thank you enough.
thank
You're so
you.
gracious, and
Thank you.
I love having these conversations. So
Oh my goodness. Well, you are coming back. That'll be great. But
yeah,
we might be messing around with some times again.
yeah, that's
So,
cool.
I mean, you're the first, our first, 8 p.m.
Mm,
Guest, which is
time.
cool.
Mm.
But a little secret, to everybody else is that our Wednesday shows, and we haven't decided on if or when, probably more along the lines of when. And let me know how you guys feel about it. But our Wednesday show may be dropping down from 9 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern because our fearless leader, who is always hell bent on not changing time spot, goes, yeah, I'd do it. Who are you? What have you done on my producer?
He's been taken.
I know.
Clone.
That would not surprise me. That would
Mm,
not surprise me. But
mm.
anyway, so just a little tidbit there. I think it might be kind of cool, but anyhow. So it's always so much fun when you come on. This is our second time, and I
thank
feel like
you.
I've known you for like ever.
I love it. Same way, likewise.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And everybody, thank you all for tuning in, of course, to the Outer Realm and our new time spot at 8 p.m. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, of course, Steve McGinnis. Next week, Beyond the Outer Realm welcomes the return of Mark Ollie all the way from the UK. And we're going to be talking about ancient civilizations, lost technology, out of place artifacts. He's an archaeologist, of course, so this is going to be a lot of fun. But Mark has been on so many times, and again, he's just so much fun. So, prepare for that. And Wednesday is Jack, and again, I'm going to pulverize this. Carol Ann, maybe you can just like sound it out for me. Bialik? Anyway, his book, Lost in Time, Our Forgotten and Vanishing Knowledge. So that will be a lot of fun. And next Thursday, looking like it might be an open mic. And this time, Amelia will be back to join in. So it'll be a lot of fun. And topic, I'm still working on it. So maybe we just go with the whole theme for the week. I don't know. Oh, I got a good yay. That was good for Jack's last name. Bit of a tongue twister. But anyway, thank you all for tuning in. And again, thank you so much, Jiulio. It's always so much fun. And everybody, please have a nice, safe weekend. Yes, and we shall see you next week. And don't forget, Carol Ann is on again tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, with, I believe, Preston Dennett. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, too. Anyway, thank you and good night.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.